Welcome to In It to Win It. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. We are here with the man, the myth, the legend, Rick Rule. Rick, thank you for coming back on the show.
Always a pleasure, Steve. Thank you for having me back.
Yes, yes. Uh, I am really excited about this Saturday. We have the Prospect Generators Boot Camp coming up. And like all your boot camps, they have been fabulous for our bank account. What can we expect this Saturday, April 20th?
Well, first of all, expect to work hard. This is 8 or 8.5 hours of very intensive programming. I'm delighted to say that our keynote speaker this year is Dr. Steve Enders, who is uniquely suited to do this, both as a dean at the Colorado School of Mines, so with good educational skills, but also as the former director of worldwide exploration for both Phelps Dodge, at the time the largest copper producer in the world, and Newmont, at the time the largest gold producer in the world, as well as being on the board and or being chairman of two different public prospect generators. For those among your audience who are unaware as to what project generation refers to, this is a class of exploration companies that relies on their technical expertise and or their business acumen to generate exploration concepts around what we might call pregnant or suitable terrain, and then uses their intellectual property to bring in third parties to take the physical and financial risk of drilling. This is over 45 years the most efficient form of exploration finance that I have ever been involved in. The headline around exploration and exploration risk is that 1 in 3,000 mineralized anomalies that gets explored becomes a mine, which is to say the normal House Street or Bay Street value proposition is that you take a 1 in 3,000 risk to get a 10-to-1 return. The arithmetic around that makes the lottery look like a really good financial deal. In investing and speculating in prospect generators for 45 years, if my memory serves me correctly, I've been involved in 70 starts, which is to say I've invested in about 70 companies and made at last count 24, going on 25 economic discoveries, which is to say a 1 in 3 response as opposed to a 1 in 3,000 response. Prospect generation isn't as sexy or as titillating as straight up exploration speculation. It's just way more profitable. So for people who are more interested in profits than narrative, and people who are willing to take the risk on front-end exploration, I think this is a must-attend event. And by the way, as you know, Steve, we've always tried to have the boot camps around sectors of the market that we thought were attractive but unpopular. You'll recall the uranium boot camp in 2023 when nobody cared. People did pretty well with that. The silver boot camp in early 2024, I suspect, was very well timed. People did well with that. People have done very, very well with the stocks that were mentioned in the developers' boot camps. I suspect that given the fact that nobody in the world cares about exploration right now, that they're interested in companies further up the value chain, if you will, that this will be another superbly boot camp. In order to make money, one must, of course, buy low and sell high. And in order to buy low, you have to buy things that nobody else wants at the time. And I think we've done it again. Of course, with this product, like all of our other educational products, if for any reason people who attend and pay me the tuition don't think they got their money's worth, email me. Gold-plated money-back guarantee. The financial risk is mine. Just don't come and not be prepared to work. Remember, you'll have access to the recordings for a year, and you'll need them. We're going to give you more information in 8.5 hours than you could possibly absorb. This is not like sitting at home reading the funnies. This is real work.
Awesome. I look forward to it. And for $99, there is no better value. April 20th, this Saturday. We will see you there. There is a link down in the pinned comment below. So I love these. These come along 3 maybe 4 times a year, and this Saturday is one of them. Uh, I I'm I think I was guilty of mixing up our time, so I think we might have to enter the lightning round here, Rick, if we can
Let's try it.
get through a lot of these questions.
Let's try
Okay.
it.
Okay. Uranium. Nolan wants to know about Paladin.
I think Paladin's moving into a sweet spot. They have moved towards putting a project into production. My understanding, although I don't know this, is that they have reasonable term commitments, which should see if they can bring the deposit back on schedule, on time, on budget, sufficient to amortize the debt that they have taken on to move the deposit forward. Note for the record, I'm long Paladin, so I'm talking from the point of view of my own book. I have moved Paladin from a 5 to a 4 because I see them really in what Lobo Tigre would call the pre-production sweet spot.
Okay, a 4. Gold and silver. Franco Nevada.
Franco is the highest quality precious metals company on the planet, bar none. It is not cheap. I own it. I suspect for part of my decision that my sell decision will be made by my heirs, successors, and assigns.
Is it still a 4? It's not the deal when it was down around $100. Now it's around 118 or 120 or so.
It is a 4. It is likely to move back up to 5. You'll recall that when Cobre Panama went against them, that 15% of their net asset value disappeared, I think temporarily. And that resulted in a 42% decline in the share price. This is pretty simple arithmetic. It's as though you started off with $1, somebody took away 15 cents, but they marked it down to 62 cents. Or pardon me, 58 cents. My math was off. This is just very, very, very simple arithmetic. The arithmetic is not as easy now as it was 4 months ago.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And a whole bunch of people asked about Pan American Silver. What ranking would you give them?
I have Pan American Silver as a 4. I am hoping to be able to upgrade. My ability to do that will involve a permission to restart their Guatemalan silver mine or permission to start an Argentine deposit that's on the books for 15 years. They have 2 assets that they are getting no credit for, each of which contain over 500 million ounces of high-grade recoverable silver. I'm looking and hoping that 2024 is the year that they get permission to start Argentina or restart Guatemala, or if the gods are smiling on me, both.
Both. Yeah. So even with that recent price run up, I guess because silver's run up as well, they're still a 4. Okay.
A lot of things are happening there. The company underperformed a couple of years ago because I would suspect that they were deferring a little bit of sustaining capital investment, and they got an operating cost increase, which they've dealt with. 2, remember that they basically doubled the issued and outstanding to take over the assets around Yamana and took on a lot of debt. They have begun to do as they said they were going to do, which was sell some of the assets to Yamana that were not core to what they were doing, use that money to pay more care, love, and attention to the best assets. And they've been involved in doing that. They're driving their all-in sustaining capital down. They're driving their net debt down. They're driving their free cash flow up. And one hopes that as a consequence of lavishing love, care, and attention on high-quality mines, that their margins will increase with increasing metals prices because one hopes they'll be able to drive down their costs. If they're able to do that, they will deserve the 4, which I suspect they'll do, irrespective of their ability to restart Guatemala or start Argentina. If they are able to do either of those 2 things, that's truly on the icing on the cake. Remember, that either Guatemala or Argentina, either one, just one, has the ability to double the company's silver production. If they were able, by some quirk of fate, to do both, that would triple their silver production. And the market is giving them no credit for either asset.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. RBBT have you been able to complete the work on SilverCrest? Have they come out with their
They
report
have
yet or
not.
not?
They have not come out with the reserve report. I'm uh, amazed and delighted with the quarterly financials. If you strip out all the accounting BS, what matters is net cash at beginning of period versus net cash at end of period, and net debt at beginning of period and net debt at the end of the period. After you strip out depreciation, depletion, amortization, all that kind of stuff. And the ability that this deposit seems to have to churn out cash, and the discernible ability of the company to increase its net cash relative to its net debt is admirable. The difficulty is that I can't do a net present value calculation on the deposit if I don't know with some certainty the size of the deposit. The write down in terms of reserve and resources that they took was pretty staggering. They said at the time that they expected to be able to add back based on additional drilling, but they haven't, at least to my knowledge, reported it in a way yet that I can generate a net present value calculation.
Okay. All righty. Moving on to oil and gas. We got a lot of questions about the current the missiles going into Israel. Is there what bets can you place to hedge on this? Is this a moment in time? What do you see for oil and gas from this? Any thoughts on that?
Unfortunately, I guess to the extent that missiles fly, which I really hope they don't, uh, it will be beneficial to the oil price. If Israeli missiles hit Iran, it is not unlikely that the Iranians will attempt to shut down the Straits of Hormuz, which will deprive the Saudis of 60 or 70% of their revenues, which one could suggest could lead to hostilities not merely between Israel and Iran, but also between Saudi and Iran. And that would be a truly ugly circumstance for humanity and for the oil market. If we assume that somewhere in the world there are world leaders with IQs north of 100, and hostilities are de-emphasized, the oil market will still do very well, because irrespective of the missiles flying, the world, including the Iranians, are underinvesting in sustaining capital around their oil industry. The Iranians, the Russians, the Venezuelans, the Mexicans, all the world's geniuses are deferring sustaining capital investments to the extent of about $1 billion a day. This will continue to impair their ability to produce. I understand that missiles are sexy in some sense. People love to be scared. People love to pay attention to the news when it doesn't require any work. But if you strip all of that out, if none of that occurs, the fact is that oil prices will be higher for longer, consequence of a material underinvestment in sustaining capital investment and new project investment. I know that's a very unsexy response. It's one about money.
Okay. Okay. All right. And T and feedback. Want to know, Rick, do you still consider Birchcliff a buy? What number would you give it?
I absolutely consider it a buy. I have it as a 4. If you are a believer that Prime Minister Trudeau will be thanked and excused in the next Canadian federal election, I don't know how to handicap that. If you believe that, then Birchcliff and Peyto are both 3s. Canadian natural gas is unnecessarily and in fact stupidly depressed in price as a consequence not of world markets, but rather as a consequence of the idiocy of Canadian leadership. They're as bad as our leadership is, which is saying something. But we have in the United States much better infrastructure now than they have in Canada. So if you believe that the political landscape in Canada will change, then both Birchcliff and Peyto's are 3. I don't know how to handicap that, so they have them as 4s.
I've bet on elections before, and you can look them up on Bovada and Vegas Insider. That's how I handicap them. Okay, Derwalda Bear wants to know, have you completed your fundamentals of Woodside?
I have not. In
Okay.
fact, I haven't started it, to be honest with you. I'm involved, as you know, in starting a bank, and that consumed any spare waking hour I have.
Okay. And wrapping up here, Lost Cause wants to know about vanadium. He says Largo looks bombed out. Might be a contrarian play here.
I'm long Largo, and I'm long vanadium, doing as much work as an old Luddite like myself can do around uses for vanadium, including the vanadium redox battery. I'm paying particular attention. Let me rephrase that. I'm very aggressively debriefing engineers who know a lot more about power storage than I, and about the efficacy of vanadium redox batteries in the utility scale storage market. Liking what I hear, but I don't know enough yet to make a simple declarative statement.
Okay. All right. Oh, and I get asked this probably every other time we have you on. And Michael wants to know, can you please ask Rick if and when he's going to start a paid subscription to get access to his best picks for resource stocks?
Uh, Stand by. We're looking at 2 or 3 different paid proposals. We may decide to do that. We may not decide to do it. The other thing that we may do is hire some people, hire a team to make the rankings database much more up to date and much more interactive so that people would have the ability 24/7 to look at the rankings database for a fee. That's something that we might do.
Oh, I bet that would be very popular. Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and I need to find a young team that is willing to assist me in that endeavor. We think to get the ratings database in the shape that it would need to be 24/7 interactive of the quality that I would need to assign my name to it would cost about $500,000 a year. And so I need to decide if I have the energy to do that.
Okay. 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 I think you'd be able to profit from it. It's just the time and effort to do it for you.
Well,
Um,
I think it would be a real contribution to
yeah.
the industry. And I like making contributions to the industry. It's a formidable amount of work. And I need to get Battle Bank and the FDIC put to bed before I take on another major project.
Okay. Okay. I do too. That's the whole reason I do the show. Well, thank you, Rick. Looking forward to the boot camp this Saturday. Can't wait for it. Any final closing thoughts?
That's enough. I'm delighted to do these boot camps. We've now had almost 8,000 attendees across the various boot camps, and the outpourings of love and affection that we get at the rural classroom associated with these boot camps has been very, very gratifying. It's just been a delight to do, and I look forward to this one, which I think will be absolutely spectacular. I think the money that people will make over the next 5 years with the information that they get this boot camp will be very, very, very gratifying. And I look forward to doing more out of favor, deep dives.
Awesome. We can't wait for it. And if your question was not answered, then go to there's a link down in the show notes for the Rural Classroom. So I highly recommend it. Rick does Q&A, it seems like once a week, and you can ask him yourself. Love it. And it's a lot of fun. Rick, thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you for watching. We hope to see you at the boot camp this Saturday, April 20th. For $99, there is no better bang for your buck. There's a link down in the pinned comment below. It's an affiliate link. Rick has been nice enough to kick a little bit back to the show if you use that link. So if you're going to go, please use the link and support your favorite podcast in the process. Thank you for tuning in. Hit the like and subscribe, and share this with anyone that you think needs to hear it. It's probably your buddy that can't stop talking about tech stocks. You have yourself a great rest of the day, and we will talk to you next time.